Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. And I'm so excited to have Jon Carder. And he is here from Vessel Health. And we are going to talk about how to have a better body, how to be in a better mood, how to have better digestion, how to have just better living altogether. And so, Jon, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I want you to tell listeners kind of your story about how you got into intermittent fasting, what started that, and what got you into a place where you said, okay, I've got to fix my health, I've got to fix my sleep, I've got to fix my digestion, and so forth.
Yeah, so my occupation is an entrepreneur. It's kind of just in my genes. I was building companies as a little kid, like a small hot dog stand at the end of my parents' driveway when I was 12. I've just always had that kind of mindset. And when I got into college, I started my first real business. I was selling baby products over the internet for my college dorm room. And that business grew quite nicely. I dropped out of college. I focused on building it full time. And here I am 23 years later on company number 5. So I'll probably be building companies until I'm into my 80s or 90s. But what happened to me is when I got into my mid 30s, so I'd been building companies for about 15 at that point. And for any of those entrepreneurs on the call, you guys know how much of an intense kind of lifestyle it is. You're grinding away. A lot of times you're working weekends, evenings. A lot of times you don't take a lot of vacations because there's so much to do and all of it kind of rests on your shoulders as the entrepreneur. That eventually took a toll on me. I also I was pretty broke when I started my first company. I literally was living off top ramen for a while, like 4 years. Most of my meals were in the top ramen range or mac and cheese or something really cheap because I was bootstrapping my company, just didn't have any cash. So all of that kind of hit me pretty hard in my mid 30s. And what happened was I just started noticing changes in how I was showing up to work, showing up as a dad, showing up as a friend. Just in general, I was having low energy. So I'd have these kind of energy fluctuations. I'd eat like a big lunch and then I'd go into like a food coma for a while. I noticed my memory was starting to suffer. Like I was really good at names. And then suddenly I wasn't good at names. Suddenly was having a real hard time remembering that, and just memory in general. And sleep. I found I was starting to wake up in the middle of the night at like 2 a.m. and just like tons of energy. My brain was just going and going and I couldn't fall back asleep. So at the time, I didn't really know what to do. This was about 10 years ago. So wellness wasn't really a well-known thing. Intermittent fasting wasn't super popular. And I went to my conventional doctor and they were like, oh, hey, you're having trouble sleeping. Would you like a Xanax or some kind of sleep aid? And I was like, no, I don't want to go right to medicine. I'd like to kind of understand what's going on inside my body. I'd heard a little bit about blood testing and some of these wellness hacks like intermittent fasting. And so I kept looking and I eventually found a functional medicine doctor. They took me in, asked me a whole bunch of questions, did a big blood draw to really get to know me and to know what's going on inside my body. And I learned a whole bunch of things. The first one was my magnesium levels were low. A lot of our magnesium levels are low. That was messing with my sleep. Magnesium affects sleep, mood, a whole bunch of things in the body. And so the functional doctor recommended a really high quality supplement. A lot of the supplements out there aren't great. High quality supplement within a month or two, sleeping much better. And then the part about the memory, I learned my mercury levels were really high. So I was eating too much sushi and I thought sushi was good for you. I thought fish was good for you. And generally it is, except for the mercury. And so I just had too much in my body. We did a detox program. I got my mercury levels back into good shape. And suddenly I was much better at remembering names. And I was even remembering things like trips I'd gone on and things like that I'd forgotten were starting to come back to me. So my memory was not only good from that point on, but I was actually remembering things from the past, which was pretty cool. And then the last one was energy. I was going into food coma after I'd eat, a big lunch because I'd had a big breakfast earlier and then a big lunch. I used to do coffee every day to kind of get going. And the functional doctor recommended I try intermittent fasting. So for your body type, it might work. And when I did try it, initially it was really hard because I'm a tall, slender, athletic build. I seem to burn calories like crazy. So for not eating breakfast, I was just kind of out of it at first for about a week. And then I stuck with it and my body kind of adapted to it. And now I eat dinner at about 7:30 or 8 and I don't eat breakfast until noon the next day. And now it feels amazing. I've been doing it for almost a decade. And I rarely do coffee anymore. I do coffee maybe once or twice a week just for fun, for a little extra kick when I need it, but generally have really good sustained energy thanks to that intermittent fasting, and just thanks to that whole process of going on a wellness journey about learning what's going on inside your body and optimizing. And that's really what we're all about here at Vessel. That inspired me to create Vessel.
So what would you say were the biggest things other things that you found? You said the mercury from eating too much sushi, you didn't have enough magnesium, which, by the way, I will tell you guys, I have found this one magnesium that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and I'll put it in the show notes, and you can get 10% off using Waste Away as the code, or Chantel Ray, doesn't matter, but it's Bio Optimizers, and it has 7 different forms of magnesium. And so that has been a game changer for me, I know, and helping me because I feel like I'm always constipated. So that was a big issue for me. And so that has helped me a lot. So you said the magnesium was big, your mercury. What else were you struggling with?
Well, I've been on the wellness journey now for about a decade. And so I find I constantly find new things when I'm educating myself and listening to my body and doing tests, like Vessel, for example. Hydration was a big one for me. I didn't realize I was dehydrated. I thought I was fine. And now I test my hydration, regularly with Vessel. And I've realized I actually need to drink quite a bit. Like I'll do 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. And I kind of hit my optimal hydration. And that helps me with focus, energy, mood. It's a big one. It's a big needle mover. And it's just interesting to figure out how much water your body needs, because everyone's body is a little bit different. There's like these golden rules for hydration, and generally they might work for you. But I've definitely found some people don't need as much water, and some people need a lot more water. It's just all of our bodies are so unique in so many different ways. And we all have different lifestyles, different exercise routines, different food choices, different areas in the world where we live, where it's hotter or colder. All of those things impact how much water you actually need to be hydrated. So I found testing hydration levels and trying to optimize that has been a big one, big needle mover for me. In general, I've learned like interesting stuff about sleep too, because my sleep tends to ebb and flow. The magnesium definitely helped. That's a big one. For Vessel, that's probably the biggest one. We find that people don't know they're low in magnesium, and something like 60 or 80% of us are low in magnesium. As soon as they find out, they get a good supplement, or they start eating foods that are rich in magnesium, and they get their levels up. And within weeks, they can find that they're sleeping better. I mean, that's actually how we raised our round of funding. Was an investor tested, found out they were low in magnesium, got a supplement. First time in his whole adult life, he started sleeping really well. He'd always had trouble with it since his 30s. And he was so excited. He wrote us a check, and we were off to the races. So that's probably the biggest number one thing is how impactful that can be. Let's see what else. So going to sleep, magnesium is a good one, but there's so many other things that impact sleep. Complex carbs, for example, before you go to bed. Some people's bodies, when they metabolize those carbs, they turn into sugar. And that can be, if you're sensitive to that, that can wake you up in the middle of the night with a lot of energy. So I try to really limit complex carbs and stick more to like protein before I go to bed. That's not everyone's body, but definitely helped me and made an impact. I learned about blackout shades. That's a big one. Making sure it is absolutely dark, pure dark, like no light at all, has helped a lot with sleep. And then one of the biggest hacks, and it's been pretty easy to do, is a morning walk. So every morning around 7:30, I'll go outside. I'll walk. There's a little nature trail by my house. I'll walk on that for 30 minutes or so. And just getting out in nature, getting out in sunlight sets the circadian rhythm. And that way, once I started doing that, within a week to 2 weeks, I started noticing that I was going to bed and falling asleep at almost exactly the same time. And then I was waking up at almost exactly the same time because of that walk. When COVID hit and I was inside so much, my rhythm was off, and I was falling asleep at different times and having trouble sleeping just in general. Once I started that morning walk, it really helped me wake up and fall asleep at the same time and stay asleep too. It's a great hack.
Hey guys, I wanted to share with you a quick bedside routine that I'm using at the moment. And I have a question for you, but listen to the end because we're going to give away some free gifts and some special offers. So, if I was going to ask you what the number one health problem from all over the world, what would you say it is? Well, if you guessed sleep, you'd be right. Did you know that people are complaining all the time about lack of energy? And that's the symptom. But guess what? What is the root problem? The root problem is they're not getting enough sleep. And if you're not getting enough sleep, that's going to affect your mood, your hormones, weight gain, and so many other things. So some people, not me, I hit the pillow and I'm like, boom, I'm going to sleep immediately. But I do have friends that say, they just stare at their ceiling. They're awake for hours and hours looking at their phone. But maybe you're like, yes, I am getting sleep. But then when you wake up, you are literally exhausted. Well, here's what I want to suggest. I do this every night. Take a glass of water and take 2 natural magnesium breakthrough capsules 30 minutes before bed. This is what I love. It has 7 essential forms of magnesium, and that is the key difference. Like everyone I know is in love with this product. So just so you know, they're giving away all these bonus gifts for the next 1,000 customers, and it's really, really awesome. They're doing like mast enzymes, their probiotic, and so you're going to get to try a ton of free products. So right now, go to magbreakthrough.com/wasteaway, and you are going to get a ton of free things if you're one of the first 1,000 people. So go on there now. Don't forget to do magbreakthrough.com/wasteaway. Get the free gifts, and it's going to be amazing. I know you're going to love it. What about parasites? Does your machine talk about parasites at all? Like, we have been doing a lot of different podcasts, and it's funny, this one guy who came on, and I agree with him that he's talking about how a lot of people don't realize that parasites are such a big issue, and they're depleting a lot of these vitamins and nutrients and things from you. Is there a way that you could notice that you do have parasites with that?
Yeah, so probably a good segue to just explain Vessel real quick and how it works, and then what we can and can't do. So Vessel test card, for any of you that are actually watching the video, you can see it. For those of you who are just listening, it's a test card about half the size of your cell phone. You pee on the bottom of it, and then you wait 3 minutes for it to activate, and then you scan it with our app on your phone. And then you get about 10 markers. We'll tell you things like magnesium, vitamin C, calcium, sodium, urinary tract, hydration, ketones, and you get all those in about 5 minutes, entirely from home. You don't have to send in the test card. You just scan it and you get the results instantly. So we can tell things that you can tell in urine. And so there's certain limitations of that. Blood would be able to tell you things like vitamin A, D, and E, but urine can't because they're not water soluble. We can't do parasites, unfortunately, at least not yet. I haven't actually looked into it deeply to see if that is feasible. But I totally agree. I think parasites are something you absolutely want to check on, especially if you're having any of those gut challenges. Parasites are definitely there and real, and something I think is definitely worth testing. And in that regard, like I've got a functional medicine doctor that I see. I feel like everyone should try to get a functional medicine doctor if they can. Those tests that they run are invaluable. It changed my life once I got my first functional medicine doctor. The only challenge there is it is expensive. They can be as high as like $500 an hour. So that's the one tough part about the whole process of personalized wellness. That's actually what we're trying to do at Vessel, is give those who may not have access to a functional medicine doctor access to at least starting to get the personalized journey going. For example, our test cards are like 10 to 20 bucks each. We have a membership that's as low as $15 a month. And you get full access to the app, the recommendations we'll make around food, lifestyle, and supplements based on your urine test results. And it just makes it a little bit more affordable to get some of that data. It doesn't have everything you'd get with a blood draw, but it does have 10 pretty important markers. And there's also a nutritionist, certified nutritionist in the app that are there to answer any of the questions you like, parasite questions, like questions, how sleep and energy and mood. That's our mission, is to bring this idea of personalized wellness to the masses by making it really easy and really affordable compared to the functional doctor. But if you can find one and you can afford one, that's the ultimate, because you can do parasite testing and all kinds of different testing.
I want to tell you guys about a new find that I found, and it is really amazing. It's called Newtopia. We actually, if you go to our Facebook page right now, we're giving away a bunch of different free products on it. You guys have heard all about these different superpowers of mushroom extracts and collagen. And so this product has all of it. This magic in a jar is called Colla Genius. It's kind of a funny name because it's like Colla Genius, but it is genius. It's delicious, it's effective, and you simply add it to your coffee or you mix it with water. So the biggest thing that I like is that it'll refuel your brain without giving you jitters or crashes. So if you struggle with brain fog, have difficulty focusing, you might want to try it. It was just launched. Like, this is literally just brand new, hit the market. But go to newtopia.com/wasteawaygenius and use wasteaway10 during the checkout and you'll save 10%. So out of all of them, how long, like, is it when you buy it, do you have to use it for like 4 weeks or 8 weeks, or, how long do you suggest someone do it for? And talk about the different programs that you have with it.
Yeah, great question. Most of our users test once a week. And the reason is because these things that you test for, the magnesium levels, the hydration levels, these are things you can improve within weeks, if not months. And so people like to see where their baseline is. There's incredible motivation around when you actually see the data. For example, we get a lot of testimonials of people who are like, yeah, I knew I should be eating these foods that are richer in magnesium. And I've heard great things about magnesium, but it wasn't until I actually saw my levels, thanks to Vessel. And that motivated me to eat these really good foods that are, rich in magnesium. And we'll tell you those in the app. You'll see here's the exact food you should eat, how much magnesium is in each of them, and how much you need to get your levels into a good place. Do the same with supplements. And there's something really rewarding about seeing your levels improve and also feeling a difference, which typically happens in line with getting your levels optimal. You typically feel that benefit as well. So once a week is the most popular. Some people start on once a week and then they go to more of a maintenance mode, maybe once every 2 weeks or once a month, to just maintain optimal levels. And that's probably one of that's our new membership option, is called Flex. And it's, again, just $15 a month. And then you get to buy test cards as you need them. And it's about $10 to $20 per test card, depending on how many you buy. And then you don't have to stick to a specific regimen. You get to kind of be, testing it at your own, and when you want to. And generally, we also find people sometimes just test when they're feeling bad, like they are having issues sleeping, or their energy is suddenly dipped, or their digestion is off, and they just want to figure out why. Vessel can be really helpful in that, because one of those 10 markers might be impacting that. And we actually break down all the test results based on the 10 areas that they might be impacting. So there's things like sleep, energy, mood, digestion, weight, fitness. And you can click on any of those goals. You can see which test results might impact those. You can also see all the scientific studies that are linking, for example, magnesium to sleep. We try not to post anything in the app that doesn't have at least a couple really good research studies to back it up, to connect things like hydration to focus, magnesium to sleep, et cetera.
So I'd like you to tell me what are the different things. So we already said magnesium. I'm sure it's probably B6, B12, vitamin C, right?
We don't do the Bs currently, but we can, and we are going to eventually add those in. Right now, the tests that we have are magnesium, vitamin C, pH, hydration, ketones. And we actually do both types of ketones. For anybody that's doing the keto diet, we do ketone A and ketone B. And calcium, sodium, and urinary tract. And on the urinary tract, we do both nitrites and leukocytes, which is pretty interesting, depending on which one of those might show up in your test results.
So what does that tell you with the urinary tract? What would it say on there if it was a problem?
Yeah, it's basically potential early indicators of a UTI or even an STI. If you have, for example, leukocytes and not nitrites, that may mean you have an STI, and we would recommend you get tested. This is not a definitive FDA approved tests. This is just an indicator for you to say, oh, okay, now I should actually talk to my doctor and potentially get some medication for a UTI or potentially go get a test for an STI. With a UTI, we're actually working on this. We're going to eventually, hopefully in the next couple of months, have a link right in the app when you get results to connect you to a doctor. And with a UTI, you can answer a bunch of questions. You actually don't need to get a test. And based on your symptoms, they can prescribe medication that should relieve your symptoms. So if you do have symptoms, that's really all it takes to get medication on that side. With the STI, you do need to go and get a proper STI test and to see if you have anything. But this could be an indicator that you might want to go get tested, especially if you have symptoms. This is just one more way to see if that's a good move to contact your doctor.
I would suggest that you add potassium in there as well. And the reason is because I don't know that I'm low in potassium officially, but I 100% know that if I'm just feeling down and I'm not feeling good, I literally will have coconut water, like a fresh coconut water, and I'm literally like a new person. And so, coconut water is really high in potassium. And it just seems like even if I have like potassium rich foods, I really end up feeling so much better. So I think there's something going on with me where my potassium is not as high as it needs to be. So that'd be a good addition for you to add on. But tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Yeah, well, the product, first off, Vessel, is on vesselhealth.com. So if you guys are interested in testing yourself in 5 minutes from home, we actually have a free trial. So you can go on to vesselhealth.com for $5.95. You just pay the shipping. We'll send you a test card and you can experience it and kind of see where your levels are and get all those recommendations around food, supplement, lifestyle changes that might help you feel better, and also access to certified nutritionists that can answer all your questions. So that's the key way to find the company. To find me personally, probably Twitter is best. And my handle is just my name, which is spelled a little bit funky. It's just at Jon Carder, Jon, there's no H, and then Carder with a D, Carder.
Awesome. Well, you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.